and welcome back to another video feature of the Immersive World's Handbook. Today I'm back in Seattle, Washington, and maybe you can guess where I am from here. This is the REI mountain bike test trail. So the REI here, this flagship store in Seattle, has always been on my list of experiential spaces to visit. Haven't had the chance, and so I'm finally doing that. So what I wanted to show you at the store was just how your experience of REI is heightened, taken to really another level. If you had a chance to see my video on the Reserve Roastery on Starbucks, similar concept where you're taking the brand and you're elevating it even more. In this case, I think what you're going to see, certainly as we have the test track behind us here, is the notion of the outdoors itself integrated as part of the space. We'll check out the climbing wall, some of the other features on the inside. In fact, I know a little bit about the store, but it's going to be a surprise for me visiting here and seeing what they have for the guest. So it should be a pretty interesting trip, to say the least. I'm not going to get to go down the bicycle track. I can show you that here a little bit. I'll flip the camera around here so you can look at it. And we can just take a look here, just see what is going on the outside. Here is the climbing wall, if you can see that. And try to get some stills, go inside later. But we're talking about total experiential space here. If you've been to any other REIs, you might be familiar with the brand, but certainly not the experiential side of it that you're going to see here at the flagship store. So we'll take a look here, a little more of just the exterior space. Get some place theming there as well on each of the clocks. And you get a sense here, and of course, Seattle's known for its beauty, but just check out the bike trail here, the exterior landscaping and so forth. Just quite amazing, to say the least. I was just thinking recently, and if you check out my video on the Amazon Go concept, also in Seattle, you're getting a slew of Seattle experiential retail features coming up here if you're interested in these issues. But I was just thinking about as brick and mortar competes with online, and the Amazon concept is an interesting one because of course they're known for online, and Amazon Go is an attempt to do a retail store concept that in a sense competes with some of the stuff they're doing online. But my thought is this: if more and more people are looking for experiences, looking for lifestyle connections, it's going to be stores like this, I think, that save retail, because retail, has an opportunity to connect the guest with real physical things. We're not talking about online shopping, we're talking about connecting the guest to the physicality of experiences. I mean, check this out here. You're going to see a focus on local natural history or natural features. Get a little more here of the exterior, the bike path. Just another level of REI that I haven't experienced before. And I think on the inside of the store you're also going to see larger versions of what they have at the smaller stores where you can check out your hiking boots. Look at just the dramatic landscape here. You see this nice historical sign on the outside of the store. Taking a look at a little bit more of it. And then you have a focus here on some of the favorite campgrounds. So, which is a good way to to connect with guests in terms of local places of interest. I like to touch on the Swiss Army watch version here of the clock. Very cool. Okay, and so we're looking at a little more of just the dramatic landscape below us. So the plan now is let me go inside the store, take some stills and videos as I can, and you'll get to experience a little more of this amazing flagship REI store here in Seattle, Washington. So let us go inside. Okay, we'll stay outside just a bit here to look at some of the exterior features. Again, as I mentioned in my on-site commentary, there really is something I think remarkable about how the landscape and this store, the REI in Seattle, tend to coincide with one another. Reminds me of the theme park Dollywood, Knoebels Grove amusement park out in Pennsylvania, just in terms of that sense of how there's a nice coexistence of the space and the environment. Again, with that bike track, testing track, it's a wonderful way, I think, to take advantage of the outdoors. You're literally presenting the outdoors right here and then for the guest, and so it gives it a great sense of authenticity, I believe, which is certainly important for a flagship store. We're seeing a little more of the bike path here. Again, I did not get the chance to go down it since I didn't try a bike out. You can see the map here. It's a pretty extensive bike test track. This is what I would say would be one of the key features. A flagship store often has one or more key features within it or on the outside of it that tend to raise the level of expectation of the guest. The REI stores I know prior to this one certainly didn't have this level of approach to experience and lifestyle that you see here with the example of this test track. Okay, and since I just mentioned it, I wanted to show you an image. This is a bit old, from 2008. This is the REI in Reno, and it's just a much more subdued space. They actually don't have this particular climbing wall there anymore. So again, the typical REI store, when compared to the flagship store, I think you see something much different, more subdued at a traditional store. Now, this was another good example of taking advantage of the natural environment, focusing on favorite paddling spots that are found around, again, around this region. Again, you see just the natural landscape here and how effective it is in creating that effect of immersing the guest within the space itself, and then also in the natural environment. And this is another feature that we often see with a flagship store. This is the over 50-foot tall climbing wall. They have classes for different age groups, different sexes on climbing. So this is something that establishes very iconic brand identity with a guest who sees this, and you can see it well from the interstate in Seattle. So it does a great job, I think, in terms of creating an iconic brand identification. As we look a little more at some of the images I shot, later I'll show you some video as well, so you get a sense of what it looked like in terms of its scale, because it's a little hard to tell from these particular photos just as far as the height. I didn't get a chance to get in there and get a nice photo. It was actually closed off, that space. Now we're seeing more of the interior architecture, design, and so forth. Very nice effect, I think, with the different levels of the store. You see some of the entrance area exhibits here. It's a higher level of camping display, and that's another thing. You might see something more posh or more, not necessarily extreme, but more exciting for the guest. This is another example. I'll show you some video of it, but it's this structure up on the top that has a video within it. Here's another camping display that you see near the entrance of the store. As we continue to tour here, we'll look at a few more sites. This is another much more posh tent setup that was for sale, available to the guests. One of the things you also notice in a flagship store, and they have many more flagship stores, including one in Denver, REI does, is that there's more space. There's more retail space. There's presumably more SKUs. It's bigger, and thus it has that sense of, grander scale. Here you see the map, so also significant in terms of telling you the scale, the size of the store, and where to find all your items. Here's a shot from above where you can see the nice hearth feature with the fireplace, which I thought was a very effective central feature, creating that very homey feel. Here's some of my video I shot, very brief, but showing you this video feature in the middle of the store. So you can see it has the clouds, the video walls on each side. Tasteful, well done, not spectacular in an immersive sense, but certainly a good feature. And then I'm going to pan down here a little bit so you can see some of the exterior below. I like the use of space here, as far as from the upper floor going down to the lower floor. See another shot of that right here. You get a sense of there's also a lot of animal features here and there. There's a mountain goat on top of the fireplace. It's another shot of the video feature there. We'll talk about in a little bit how the theming here is not as developed as, say, Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops. And so that's something different, I think you'll note when you visit the REI flagship store here in Seattle. And presumably part of this could be related to guest demographic. There's a little more subtlety. It's more nuanced. It's less pronounced as, say, what you see at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops. Okay, we're seeing a little more here. You see there's that eagle swooping down way at the top of the screen, if you can see that. Just notice that for the first time. Okay, here's my video. So you're going to see the climbing wall. You get a sense of how large this is. You can also see there's windows. We can see the freeway from here, some of the other buildings. It's just a really nice space as far as giving the guests something that is interesting and iconic and fairly grand in scale. Now you see some of the more traditional retail space, some backdrops, nothing spectacular, right? There actually is a ranger station right there straight ahead to your right, if you notice that, which I think is kind of an interesting feature, comparing it to other stores that maybe don't have a ranger on duty to give you advice. Now we can look at here some examples of other stores to show you some of that contrast. The first of these is Cabela's. So again, I would suggest at Cabela's there's a much more developed sense of theming throughout the store. And then next we'll look at Bass Pro Shops outdoor world here. And again, I'm offering this site and Cabela's as a comparison. Certainly we could say there is a difference between the demographic, the profile of the typical customer or guest who comes to REI versus Cabela's or Outdoor World. All share in common, you could say, an emphasis on the outdoors, on recreation, on sporting, on extreme sports even, and camping. But there's a difference, right? I mean, Cabela's and Outdoor World often focus more on the hunting side of things and the fishing side of things, whereas REI tends to maybe focus a little bit more on the bourgeois outdoor activities. You note that just with some of the classes and trip opportunities they offer for people who are members. And there probably is a bit of a social class distinction there as well, and I'm not going to get into that in this video. But so I guess I would just offer to you, I'm going to leave that thought open today, but I would offer to you that there may be differences as to why the theming experience and immersive qualities of these three stores differ. So it's something for us to consider in future considerations of these types of retail venues. And then one last feature we could talk about in terms of the flagship store, and maybe how it's different from the traditional REI store in this case, is you have more opportunities for guest immersion. Examples here, a kids play area, which is pretty extensive with the treehouse, and then you have a World Wraps restaurant just behind there that offers burritos and different kinds of ethnic wraps from around the world. So again, some of the things we see more at a flagship store versus the typical retail space, in this case of REI. So I hope you enjoyed the video feature today here in Seattle, Washington at REI at their amazing experiential flagship store. I think again this is the future of brands, the future of retail, as more and more brick and mortar stores compete for their sensibility to be able to coexist alongside internet retailers. So I hope you come back for additional video features of the Immersive World's Handbook.